This is BLOODTHIEF, a medieval parkour game where you must speed through each level to get the best time you can. However, while playing a level, you will probably die a few times and be sent back to the last checkpoint. In a game based on going as fast as possible, it is very easy to occasionally slip off a ledge or two. However, today I'll be attempting to beat all 6 main levels without dying, which means if I do die, then I have to restart. And I will have to get a hex medal on each map. To acquire a hex medal, you must beat the map within the fastest suggested time frame, which is usually extremely fast. Real talk, this took several hours to record and edit, so I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. Now, on to the video. Now, I admit, I may have played this game a little bit before, but that was around 6 months ago, so I was a bit rusty. But still, I knew how the game worked. By defeating bad guys, you can fill up this bar at the top of your screen, which is called the blood bar. By filling up the blood bar, you can use abilities that help complete the level faster. The most important ability that I use pretty much constantly in this video is the slide mechanic. It's kind of self-explanatory, but by using some blood you can slide around at top speeds, which makes you absolutely zoom through levels. There are other abilities, but I will get into those as they become relevant. Now, the way this first level is meant to be played is by climbing these steps, learning how to do a few diagonal jumps, killing enemies, etc. The whole level is basically just a tutorial on how to play the game. But I have learned a new way to beat it. By jumping behind this platform, you can skip much farther into the level and bypass a good few minutes. Then, all that is needed to finish the level is to use a mechanic called lock-on. Lock-on is another mechanic that uses blood. It lets you dash towards enemies and, if you jump as you hit them, you get a speed boost. Anyway, all you need to do from here is lock onto some enemies to climb to the top of the castle on the hill and kill some more bad guys. Still, after only a few tries, I managed to beat the first level, where I actually got a new medal called the God Killer medal, but it was apparently better than the Hex medal, so I just went with it anyway. For the second level, you have to lock onto bad guys in corridors just in time so that deadly spike traps don't turn you into medieval peasant coleslaw. This level is also fairly straightforward. All you have to do is lock on, slide, etc. Essentially, it's just another level based on teaching movement, so I swept it pretty easily. Now, this third level is where it starts to get tricky. To sum it up, you have to swim through the castle moat to break in, dash through some corridors, but then you get to this big open hall with a lava floor. To either side, there are doors which lead to keys that, when held together, help open the door at the back of the hall to complete the level. But, when you start to go through the corridors, and if you're quick enough, then you can get this speed boost that will help beat the levels in record times. However, there was only one issue. When going through the right door, you have to do several linear jumps in a row. Simple, right? Well, if you're going too fast, you don't have time to stop and you slide off into the lava. To combat this, I used a mechanic called slamming. Slamming is a downward strike where you move slightly forward and slightly upward before crashing down on your enemies. It's often used to cancel out momentum for if you're going too fast to get through the next segment, or to give you a small speed boost, which you can get by holding the slide button as you hit the ground. So, I used it to stop me speeding off the edge, and after a few tries I got the copper key. For the next key, which is called the emerald key, it's just more locking on, which we've seen many times before. Then all you need to do is kill some last enemies and get that dub. This next level was definitely harder than the last 3 combined, and longer too. You have to fight your way through a castle using all of the abilities you've learnt this whole time to get through the level. It involves wall jumps, lava pits, massive rooms, and pit fights to the death. After only around 20 minutes of trying, I managed to pull it off. Now, I will be completely transparent. I have never beaten this next level with a hex medal, because the requirement for it is beating the whole level in 29 seconds. However, I did some research and realized I could jump over to this enemy and leap over the lava lake and collect both keys to unlock this door for the next segment of the level at the same time. This next part requires the most amount of locking in though, because if you're too slow you will run out of blood, and if you're too fast you fall into the lava, so it requires you to go absolutely Super Saiyan. After much time trying, I finally managed to beat it, and moved on to the last level. This level is so long and so hard that it has become the bane of my existence. It combines everything you've used so far, from the frame-perfect movement to the locking on, and at the end, a huge death arena filled to the brim with monsters. Because I wanted this video to be shorter than my lifespan, I won't show all of the footage, but to put into perspective how long this took me to beat, I had to delete several recordings because it took so long for me to beat it that it filled up my computer's space. But finally, after about 4 hours and 2 separate days of playing, I beat it, achieving a hex medal on all main levels in BLOODTHIEF. What did I do after this, I hear you ask? Did I perhaps go outside, finish school, have dinner with my parents? Pfft, no way, I stayed inside hours playing Roblox. What do you think I am, a good person?